Firstly, both myself and Melissa would like to thank the CPSDA for the opportunity to discuss our athlete nutrition advising program and our work with Division III athletes. We are very proud of our work, and we are grateful for the opportunity to discuss the important role performance dietitians play at the Division III level. In our eyes, an athlete is an athlete no matter what level they are in, and we believe that all athletes deserve to have access to nutrition professionals to benefit their performance as well as their health and well-being. Since D3 athletes are not provided with the same amenities as athletes within other NCAA divisions, we argue that Division III athletes may need the guidance from nutrition professionals even more so than athletes from other divisions. D3 athletes do not typically have specialized meal plans. Many are working on top of their classes and athletics, and none are provided with academic scholarships. So these create more barriers for Division III athletes to meet their nutritional needs. We like working with Division III athletes because from our experience, despite the high level that D3 athletes are expected to perform, there are a limited amount of D3 athletic institutions that provide their athletes with regular access to nutrition professionals. And something that makes our program even more special to me personally is that I was a Division III cross-country athlete at the University of St. Joseph. So getting to provide nutrition services to athletes and within the athletic department where I was once a competitive athlete just makes it that much more fulfilling.
Oh, that's a good question. Well, while money spent on fuel is fantastic and we support that 100%, if they're using the money to buy food that's not going to help their athletic performance, then it's not money well spent. So to document the need for both sports dietitians and money to buy the fuel that will help performance, we recommend tracking outcomes. And one of the biggest outcomes that speak to coaches is player availability. So we would want to focus on keeping the athletes healthy, keeping them ready to play, and performing at a high level when they're needed.
In terms of the unique fueling and nutrition strategies that face Division III athletes, one that comes to mind first is the challenge with dining hall hours. So dining hall hours can prevent them from fueling properly on game day or even after a late night practice. If they can't get a pregame meal in before their game on Saturday because the dining hall isn't open until noon, or if their practice ends too late in the evening that the dining hall is then closed, these athletes are forced to find appropriate food options on their own. And if to add to that, they do not have access to performance nutrition professionals, there's obviously going to be a nutrition knowledge deficit there. So that just adds to the barriers in Division III athletes meeting their nutritional needs. In addition, many, as I mentioned before, work outside of school and athletics. These schedules can interfere with them having enough time to get to the dining hall, to get the fuel that they need for a practice or for a game. Similar to a class schedule, their classes are not scheduled around their athletics. So again, this can become another barrier in terms of them meeting their fueling needs around game day, but also on practice days as well.
Well, when I joined the faculty here at the University of St. Joseph back in the fall of 2016, I immediately saw that there was a huge need for sports nutrition education for the athletes. I had come from a D1 school, so it was almost automatic that athletes get sports nutrition education. I also saw that we had a lot of students that were interested in getting trained to be sports dietitians. That was their interest, and that's a career field that they wanted to go into. So I decided I was going to go big. I wanted to create a structure that would be successful anywhere, most anywhere, not just at D3. So we basically designed a platform where we could train the nutrition students in sports nutrition, provide them hands-on experiential education. And then once they were trained, we would utilize them to provide the sports nutrition education to the athletes. This type of approach requires a steady stream of nutrition students, so you always have to be looking for new recruits. And so far we've had zero problems. We have a lot of nutrition students that are interested, and that has been really beneficial to the program. And you need administrative support. And here at the University of St. Joseph, we are incredibly lucky to have the support of our administration. They provide me the time to dedicate to the program, to improve it and to expand it. And as a faculty member, that's incredibly appreciated, because you need course release time for that. They've also provided the funds for the graduate assistants, who we hire dietitians for those roles so that they can help to supervise the undergrads and the dietetic interns. And we have grown so quickly that we also have now a lead sports dietitian. That's Kaneen Gomez-Hickson. She started back when I first got there as a volunteer, and she has since finished her internship, obtained her master's, is about to start a PhD program, and so she is our lead sports dietitian. Growing beyond our expectations for sure, this type of structure has allowed us to actually provide services in sports nutrition to other institutions and organizations, and not just the University of St. Joseph. So we work with anybody, anywhere from high school programs to other D1 programs, D2 programs, and D3 programs, as well as professionals. So this has been an incredibly rewarding, exhausting, but rewarding experience. And if you can get that structure in place, then you will be able to you'll be able to provide sports nutrition education to your athletes. I think starting a fueling station at our institution has been our biggest challenge so far, for two reasons in particular. Number one is that feeding has still been regulated at the D3 level until just recently. We are extremely happy that they have finally voted to deregulate feeding at the D3 level, and that will take effect this August. So that's one reason. But then also because the budgets are usually a lot lower than a D1 or a D2 school. So my suggestions or my tips to starting one would first be seek out somebody who has already done so and pick their brain to try and see how they were successful in doing so. I'm more than happy to speak to anybody who has questions about that. And actually, Kaneen and I have written up a manuscript that we're going to submit for publication to also help others that are trying to start a fueling station. Because for us, one of the biggest things is we want to share information. We want other sports dietitians to be successful, and we hope that all sports dietitians are that way as well. So we're happy to share both our failures. Yes, a lot of things we tried did not work, and then also our successes. But a few quick tips would be that you absolutely need administrative support. If you can get either the administration, athletics administration, to set aside a little bit of money to try it out, see what a pilot program for a fueling station, and track outcomes and see if it was effective, or an internal grant. We were able to get an internal grant, so we were incredibly lucky, from the university itself, not specifically from athletics. If you are not able to get an internal grant, maybe an external grant, maybe industry sponsorship. A lot of schools are either a Coke program or a Pepsi program. They might have some sort of incentive program that you could apply that money to a fueling station. If you can tap into the campus food service and enlist their help in maybe setting up a fueling station, that's one possibility. And then also alumni donations. So there's a lot of alumni out there that want to give money back to their university but aren't exactly sure where they want the money to go. And so sometimes if they're approached with an idea like this and they happen to be an athlete as well, that might be where they want their money to go. So we would definitely recommend those approaches. And then to staff it and to provide the nutrition education along with the fuel cart, we would definitely recommend training your own nutrition students if you have an academic nutrition program. If you don't have one, it's not the end of the world. You can seek maybe some nutrition interns as volunteers from colleges that are in the surrounding areas. So they might be looking for hands-on opportunities for their students but can't provide it, and so you could form a partnership.
With the new NCAA rule change, this opens up a number of possibilities in terms of the nutrition services that we can provide our Division III athletes. One of the first changes that we would like to implement is opening up the time frame of when our athletes are allowed to use the fueling station at USJ. So right now they are restricted to only using it on game day, but if we can come up with a way to allow them to utilize the fueling station before and after practice, despite budgetary constraints, this will really benefit our athletes. So many of the athletes at USJ are commuter students, so this means that the time it takes from them to go from practice to their home to eat a well-balanced meal or even just to have a snack extends even more. And allowing the athletes to grab a snack right after practice would help us remove this barrier, in addition to removing that financial burden that would come along with athletes having to buy their own snacks in order to optimize their fueling strategies, recover properly. So by opening up the time frame of when the athletes are able to utilize the fueling station, this will just help, again, remove those barriers for them to optimize their nutrition.